What up and welcome to Rama Screen YouTube channel, and here's my review of Netflix new documentary, The Doomsday Cult of Antares de la Luz. Let's rock this. Holy fuck, I mean, pardon my French, but we've come across a lot of documentaries over the years about cult leaders, right? From Warren Jeffs to Charles Manson to Jim Jones to David Miscavige, etc., etc. All of them are evil, manipulative sociopaths. They deceive their followers into believing in some higher purpose when in actuality, it's all about power and having a God complex. It's sick and infuriating. Well, hold on to your butts, because none of those names I mentioned could compare to this asshole in this latest true crime documentary from Netflix. Antares de la Luz may not be world famous, but over a decade ago, he made the news in the country Chile. And I don't want to reveal for you what he did or the crime that he and his followers committed, because I want to let you find that out for yourself. But as I was watching this docu, I was fuming with rage, smoke coming out of my ears, boiling angry, because clearly this dude, Antares, was certifiable. He was cuckoo for Cocoa Puff. If you look up the word crazy, you would see a picture of him right next to the definition of crazy. So, why on earth would anybody take his words as gospel? Yes, his followers pissed me off the most. And then the talking heads on this docu, the journalists, the psychologists, the cops, they're all trying to make sense of what happened. And I'm like, what the fuck, dude? Why are you trying so hard? It's not rocket science. He was a madman. That's it. Period. There's nothing to study or to analyze about it. This is the equivalence of if you approach a ranting lunatic homeless by the side of the road and you suddenly declare he is the second coming of Jesus Christ. That's basically what this is. Directed by Santiago Correa in the Doomsday Cult of Antares de la Luz. At the end of 2012, when the prophecy of the end of the world is circulating, Antares de la Luz, leader of a cult in Chile, convinces his disciples that to save themselves, they owe him blind obedience, plunging them into a spiral of terror that has its deepest and darkest point when the group commits one of the most brutal crimes in the country's history. In this original Netflix documentary, those who knew him narrate what they experienced with him and how they took over their will and their lives to the point of bending their conscience and reason. Hey, please click the join button below to become Rama Screen members. By doing so, you will help support this channel and you'll also get lots of perks. So click on the link below to join Rama Screen membership today. As for the format and the quality of this documentary itself, it's pretty straightforward. No bells and whistles or unnecessary graphics. It doesn't even have reenactments per se. It has scenes that illustrate the setting and the mood and the environment when the tragedy happened 10 years ago, such as the abandoned house and the fire pit, but it's all done in sort of a dreamscape sequences as they're looking back on and recollecting those awful memories. All in all, this documentary applies the less is more philosophy. Some of the imagery are subtle yet effective and chilling and haunting, and it places more emphasis on the first-hand eyewitness accounts. And boy, oh boy, some of those stories are like a punch in the gut. There was one about them throwing a pregnant cat off a bridge, and I'm like, Jesus Christ, man. And yet, you still continue to trust Antares after that? Unfucking believable. One of Antares' cult members takes up a big chunk of the testimony, and you know what? I give him a lot of credit for willing to do this. I'm sure it wasn't easy for him to replay all of that in his head. And the filmmaker's decision to have him be the guide, so to speak, pays off because not only is he articulate, meaning, yes, he's devastated, but it doesn't keep him from explaining what happened, but also he was there. He rubbed shoulders with that evil asshole. So his words pierced through like no other. On the other hand, I still would not let him off the hook. And I'm sure some of you would go, but Rama, how dare you? That's victim blaming. You can't put that on him. What did you expect? For him to snap out of it at the time? Yes. You see, when you are in a capable position to prevent an innocent life from being murdered, but you did nothing or you chose to do nothing, then yeah, you partially take the blame. Some of that fault is on you. Listen, this was not hypnotism. This was not mind control. These people chose to let that asshole Antares dictate the scenario. They basically surrendered their free will and handed it over to that man. So forgive me if I don't have an ounce or a shred of sympathy for them. You know what? The bigger problem is that so many people in our society often forget to think in terms of the present and the future. Both should go simultaneously, hand in hand. The present means smelling the roses, living in the now, and the future means also planning for the days to come, saving up, making life goals, so on and so forth. So when you forget to think in terms of the present and the future, when you give up on yourself and give up on fighting for your own life and for your own destiny, it's so easy for cowards like Antares to step in and say, oh, the world is gonna end anyway. Therefore, what you do now or later does not matter. So just serve me, because I have all the answers. And there's nothing wrong with having faith or believing in something bigger than yourself, but when you just receive it blindly, without questioning it, without pushing back, without factoring in logic, that's when it becomes like this, which is the mentally ill leading the mentally ill. So yeah, overall I give the Doomsday Cult of Antares de la Luz the rating of 4 out of 5. That fire pit, that bonfire in the woods will give you nightmares. It's so sad and heartbreaking. How the bloody hell can you do such a horrendous thing to such an innocent, pure life? It's so deeply upsetting. This whole documentary is unsettling through and through.